to understand.
It's coming back, yes.
Yes. Yeah, well, the young generation in Ireland have none of that stuff. They're very confident, very self-confident. They're, yes, very proud of their Irish heritage.
Do you think it was because things were just so awful for so long?
Yeah, of course. And the famine was a horrific thing.
Horrible.
It took generations to get over that, well over 100 years. But when you think that only happened in 1847,
Right.
so we just celebrated its 150th. That's not very long, 150 years.
California became a state in 18 what?
48.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
the same kind
Same
of
time.
period.
So you know it takes a while to work something as deep as
Yeah.
that.
Generations,
Yeah.
a couple of generations. It's
Yeah.
the same as the Depression here. We're still working
Yes.
that out in my generation. That, you know, I
Yes.
still- my parents were.
Oh yeah.
I sort of understand it, but with a very, very extraordinarily famous person
Yeah.
like that, I can't understand that. I wish my dad was alive. And I wish he had access to the computer. I wish he could see what I thought. You know,
Yeah.
books and things I've collected.
Well,
So exciting.
in that period, if you go back and look at the magazines, Punch magazine, various magazines, I mean they did the most horrific assassination job on Daniel O'Connell. I mean when I said the English papers and the English generally, I mean they ground the man into the dirt.
And yeah, I have a copy on eBay. I purchased several issues of the London Illustrated News, and they were extraordinarily favorable.
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 Oh,
Great coverage, fantastic coverage, pictures, favorable articles. I just got, the last one I just got was upon his death.
okay.
And it was very balanced.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well-
I'm very surprised because I haven't got anything out of Dublin, but I got it out of Belfast. I've got papers from Belfast.
Yeah.
It's very favorable, and from
Yeah.
London Illustrated
Yeah.
News. I'm amazed. I thought it would, the drawings, you know,
Mhm.
the etched sketches or whatever, because you
Mhm.
have photography. Fabulous.
Hmm.
Page after page.
Well, I've seen. Okay, well that's good to hear. Because I've seen a lot
I
of
don't know what the reputation.
derogatory.
I haven't seen any derogatory stuff from that age. From
Well,
the
you
1850s or.
Well, maybe yes. Later, then he had become a senior statesman, if you like. But during the
Earlier on.
eight-
Yeah.
1828, you see, he fought Catholic emancipation. I guess I'm thinking of the 20s.
Yeah, yeah.
And when he actually won Catholic emancipation,
Right.
remember that was only 1828.
That's right.
Now they portrayed him as being worse
There
than
were some terrible. I've seen some of the cartoons talking about
the money. Yeah, the Peter's pence, the money that he was collecting, because everybody gave money at mass for the repeal organization and the Catholic emancipation and the repeal, and they suggested that he was getting fat and growing, and
Yes.
that he was corrupt, and you know it was all this money was for him and so on.
Yeah, I've seen those.
They were
those
nasty.
up on eBay too.
But then once that battle was won, I guess they eased up. And by the time of the famine, well, but you know they still destroyed him.
Oh yeah, he
Yes.
died of a broken heart.
Yeah, they still destroyed him. Yeah,
It just destroyed him.
yeah. So, you know, there was a long time when the family of Michael Collins. It's only very recently
Yeah.
that they're even coming out of the woodwork and acknowledge that they're
I
Collins.
know it. I know it. Yeah.
The Irish have had a long history of that.
They've had a tough time.
Yeah.
It's a tough time.
There's one of the phenomenons in history that I always marvel at is that throughout the entire island of Ireland you would never see a headstone with the year 1798 on it. Remember we talked about that?
Right.
Because there was a big rebellion in 1798 and nobody would acknowledge, they were so defeated and so ground down that nobody would admit that anyone belonging to them, especially a male, died in 1798. He would have been presumed to have been a rebel. You know, so the wounds run very deep. So there you are, Pat. Well, it's welcome aboard. Everybody else knows everybody else, or don't they?
Excuse me, I didn't mean to take up all
No, I'm glad you did. I mean, that was of interest. I should have asked earlier and we would have talked about it. She emailed me during the week and told me about that, and I told her to be sure and come.
I don't know you.
You're better off without knowing me.
Oh, you are? Are you the ones Yes, okay.
It's a little about Art O'Neill.
Well, before we start, I will give you my background. My father was O'Neill from Antrim, and my mother was O'Neill from Tyrone, to her maiden name. And the O'Neill, the nickname, they call it now a nickname, but the sobriquet of the O'Neills of Tyrone, their correct family is Moore, M-O-R, the Great. So all my mother's people, including myself, we were all called Moore. And they didn't say Pat O'Neill, they said Pat Moore, Charlie Moore, Barney Moore, all that kind of thing, yeah. So that's the background. And when I was travelling around in Ireland, I went into the Belfast Museum, and there they have the coronation chair of the O'Neills of Antrim. And the story goes that when the right O'Neill sits on the chair, it roars. So I waited my turn until there was nobody around, and I got over the rail and sat down in the O'Neill chair of Antrim. And it never said a word. But I was very interested. Pat here knows everything, of course, Pat Flannery.
Oh yeah, everything.
But I was very interested in many of the stories. But I'd like to have heard you tell about Art O'Neill.
No, I want you to tell that.
Well, Art O'Neill was a blind harper.
Yeah.
A blind harper. But he was famous all over Ireland. And he spent his time as an itinerant going from what they call one great house to another, so that he was welcomed into the houses of all the sub-kings and the high king and everybody. But anyhow, he came on his journeys, you know, unannounced, because they had no communication with the hood in those days. So he just went around till he came to these different big houses, and he came into this house of one of the lower chieftains, you know, and not the high king. I forget which of them it was. One of the Rees anyhow, Tyrone or Fermanagh or wherever. And he just took his place away down in the banquet hall, away down with the servants. And the boss came in at the usual time, and the chaplain said the grace, and they sat down and all that. And eventually somebody told the boss, Art O'Neill is here. He said, where? So he said, he's away down there among the servants. And the boss called for silence. I hear Art O'Neill is in this congregation. And Art, put your hand up. And Art put up his hand. Where an O'Neill sits, that should be at the head of the table. And says Art, sir, where O'Neill sits, that is the head of the table.
Well, no, nobody could tell that story as good as that. Now that I've got you on a roll, I want you also to tell the story about what St. Patrick said when he got to Ballyshannon and the river was in flood.
Flood, yeah.
And before you tell it, I'll explain where Ballyshannon is. If you look at the map of Ireland on the northwest corner, there's a lot of lakes, and then there's a short river that flows out into the ocean at Ballyshannon. And that was a very powerful, a very important barrier between north and south. And Donegal or Tyrconnell was north, and Carborough, which by the way is another son of his, was south of there. Those were the two areas. But anyway, when St. Patrick was
When he came,
going around Ireland,
when he was studying around Ireland, he came to Ballyshannon, the Ballyshannon area. And the Erne, the river, was in spate, and they couldn't cross. And somebody said to him, what are we going to do? And he prophesied. He said, the Lord will raise up, and he told more or less the date, an apostle for Tyrconnell. And he said, I don't have to go there. Now, it's a legend, because St. Patrick's Purgatory is in Lough Derg in Donegal. So he must have been there, and he was there, obviously. But anyhow, that's the story that they told. And who was the apostle raised for Tyrconnell? St. Columkill, St. Columba. He was a descendant also of Niall, but would be a great grandson of that. And he is the patron saint of Donegal. And when I was a lad in Donegal, if you went from the cottage one to another, you were given your seat and everybody was sitting around, but there was always an empty chair close to the fire. All was kept empty. And that was St. Column's chair. That's where he sat. And that's in all the cottages in Donegal. Now, I don't know how things are now, but there's a lot of changes. I was born in 1915, and in those days they were living the old life. And it was interesting. Yeah. Anyhow, you don't want to be.
But I like that story because Columkill was of the blood of Niall, Niall, and I think it was three greats, great grandson.
Yeah.
And in many ways, while he was a great saint, he also was revered by the Irish people because they recognised families like that. They understood that who he was, and he was, as you know, a great saint, a great nobleman, because he brought Christianity to the Picts, to Scotland.